So what I'm gonna say in this video is probably gonna bother some people. I don't give a shit. And then there's also gonna be those people that comment and say, well, you're recording while driving. Yeah, police do it all the time and no one says a thing. As a matter of fact, those recordings are actually used for their trials at times. So just wanted to go ahead and address that, because the people that have nothing to argue are going to say that. Now, what I've seen over the last 4 years should chill anybody. And I can tell you what the issue is: political power. So it starts from the governor all the way down to the local police chiefs, prosecution, and then people. I'm not even including the president and them. I'm just talking about locally what I've observed. What I see is prosecutors, and I'm specifically talking in my own instance, Sean Boone and people that work underneath him will manufacture evidence, will recruit people to lie. They'll do all these things to win a case in which they have which the evidence would clear the defendant. And then you have these lawyers, which it's a cliche at this point, but lawyers, they're not your friends. They take advantage of people because people don't understand their legal rights. You know, in my case, both the lawyers I had were John Cox and Don Dickerson. Don Dickerson was the lawyer during the first trial, the district court trial, who admitted that the officer wasn't dispatched, and then evidence later on proved that he actually wasn't dispatched. John Cox was the lawyer during the appeal. I think he was probably worse than Don Dickerson. But what I've seen and what I've been through personally is watching these people lie to me and sabotage my case. Don't take my word for it. The evidence is literally posted all over the internet and on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Meta, all of it. And so I've reached out to the governor after reaching out to the local town council. Part of that council consists of newly appointed Mayor Brian Crisp. Brian Crisp, along with Tangela Mitchell, are the only black people on the council, in an all-white area, area otherwise. Now, Gibsonville in general is like mostly white. I forgot the demographic, but I think it's like 70% white, 30% black, something like that. Now, that's just a rough estimate from what I remember, but it's pretty high. But they're the people that I call the tokens. They don't actually represent the common interest of the people. They represent the interest of the town. When I say the town, I'm talking about the people that they work with. Because I reported to Brian Crisp. He was aware from the beginning. And yet he still took actions to ban me after raising concerns. This is before he was mayor. And then after, he didn't remove that ban. He actually had LaVon Barnes, who's running for, I think, Dennis Rydell's position, reach out to me on behalf of the ban and advise me that Brian Crisp is willing to drop the ban if I stop talking about police misconduct. That isn't serving the people. That's serving the interest of Brian Crisp in the town. And so, I'll get back to that in a minute. These people, these representatives that claim to serve us, the ones running right now. So, and then you have the SBI. So, while I'm thinking about it, did you know that Terry Johnson, from my resources, hasn't been promoted at all in the SBI? He was there for like 30 years. How do you stay in a company that long and don't get promoted? His son is in the SBI, State Bureau of Investigations. Now, they've acknowledged that they didn't investigate any of my claims. By the way, Terry Johnson has a relationship with Ron Parrish. He used to serve under Terry Johnson. They didn't necessarily get along, but they have a relationship. And this is what I've observed. I've observed police officers closing ranks to protect other police officers. It's a they versus them mentality. And so technology has largely showcased the behavior that was hidden for years, because previously officer was believed over a citizen. But then I have to ask myself, why do we give all this credibility to officers who are human beings engage in misconduct and do things they shouldn't? But we just automatically believe them when they haven't demonstrated their ability to be trusted. And then there's been many instances of officers lying. It's comical at this point, because it occurs on a daily basis where you see news stories. This is the issue. So the SBI didn't investigate, but then they retaliated against me. And so the SBI is complicit in misconduct. So is the FBI. Now, I would say the FBI wasn't necessarily hands-on from my understanding, but not investigating credible complaints makes them complicit. Now, they haven't retaliated against me, but from what I've seen is they hide comments on when I report to them. I've filed many complaints and what I'm talking about on their portal, not to get a follow-up or nothing. And then when I call and speak with a representative of the FBI, they're rude and they want to end the call early. That isn't serving the people. The whole reason the government exists is to serve and to better. But what I'm seeing is they're protecting each other. And then look at our congressmen. Look at all these people. Richard Hudson was my congressman. Ted Budd and Tom Tillis are senators. They're federal senators, if I'm not mistaken. So each of these people, including the governor, I reached out to Roy Cooper when he was the governor, Josh Stein as the Attorney General, and I've reached out to Josh Stein now, just as I have Jeff Jackson. I can't even get through to them. I get hung up and redirected to the very people that I'm accusing of misconduct. They'll hide behind all this. They'll hide behind like jurisdiction or just a bunch of excuses. But if you look at their posts, all of them are guilty of this. Congressman Richard Hudson can't help me, can't get involved to do anything. That's what he says. But he has no problem talking about NASCAR drivers. I think it was Kyle Petty. I'm not a big NASCAR fan, so forgive me for messing this up if it's the wrong person. But Kyle Petty has nothing to do with the government roles. So he has time for this and to talk about his wife and family, which I'm fine with that. But the contrast is clear. When it comes to talking about things that are within your realm of responsibility, you refuse to when it's politically inconvenient. But they have no problem talking about things that they enjoy. Look at Governor Josh Stein and his wife. They all got these pages. They can't get involved with my stuff. Can't mention it at all. And just simply mentioning what's going on would raise the issue. They won't do that. But Josh Stein's posting about his family on Father's Day, which is unrelated to his roles and the government. And a lot of these politicians do that. They're telling us that they cannot address the issues at all. And when I specifically have called, I've gotten rude representatives who are bothered that I have the audacity to ask our government, which I'm forced to fund with my tax dollars, that you're forced to fund with your tax dollars. They can't do anything, but then they publicly go on these tax funded trips to the mountains all over the place, to games. I'm not a big hockey guy, but I am aware of I think it's the Canes. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Josh Stein was talking about them taking pictures, unrelated to his role in government. But see, he can't raise issues that me, other people, including Angela Scarborough, and these people have profiles that have been publicly commenting underneath their comments. We can't get any help, and we're automatically assumed to be crazy or the problem for raising the concern. This is why corruption exists. And then you look at the judges. Don't get me started on that. I'll tell you, since dealing with this and raising the concern, I've been retaliated against multiple times. And the one thing that I've seen is anyone that acted negatively had a connection with the people that I'm accusing of misconduct. I've talked about Katie Overby, how she refused to grant me an emergency restraining order despite the abundance of evidence showing Jeff Reese, Mitzi Gunn, and his family harassing me. But conversely, they can just say that I did something to them with no evidence at all, and they're automatically believed. This goes on in a lot of small communities, towns, and local leaderships, but I bet it happens everywhere else. And then you look at the current, he was the former DPHS, Department of Human Safety. I'm gonna make sure I say that again. Department of Human Safety. I don't know the specific role. Jeffrey Smythe. Jeffrey Smythe has ties with the people that I'm accusing. The Gibsonville Police Chief, Ron Parrish, reached out to him with my complaints. Didn't even look at the evidence. He just says, well, I don't believe that they would do that. As somebody, and I want to make sure we're clear on this. He did this in his role as the Department of Justice Civil Rights Director. Told me that he didn't believe that the people that I was accusing would do that, even though there's body-worn camera footage of it. There's actually a video that I've been trying to get, but I can't seem to get. They won't release it to me. In this video, which was played during the preliminary hearing of the appeal trial, the Assistant Chief, Rebecca Dixon, who's now at the Stoneville, who has blocked me, who admitted to blocking me, and then limited their comments when they had to undo that block, was captured on camera, and it looks like at the Gibsonville Police Station, coercing Jeff Reese to lie. Now, how do I know this is a lie? I'll tell you. So, Jeff claimed to live across the street from me. No one lives across the street. That's one lie. He actually lives about 1/10 of a mile away, and there's a big ass tree in our yard. He claimed that I fought the officer for 20 minutes, him, his son, and other people, and they all claimed that like they were looking for my wife. But here's the problem with that, right? He also claimed that he was the one that called. Here's the problem with that. Number one, the call logs actually show that the first dispatch, which was made by a police officer, was made after the officer made contact with me. After I had already told him about the argument. So the argument telling him was kind of captured. I told him off camera because it was a consensual encounter. So police officers are not required to record consensual encounters. So the officer, William Brennan, who has quietly been relocated to alcohol law enforcement after violating my rights, he lied about being dispatched because my wife and I had an argument at about 5 o'clock. She went to walk at about 5:30. And the only reason I was at the park to begin with was because she hadn't come home and I was getting concerned about her. So I asked the officer for help. He didn't find her. So what he did was he used what I told him to justify going to my house to bother me. And then he lied about it. And that's where Jeff Reese come in. My wife even acknowledged that that nothing physical happened. And that the argument happened hours prior. That's where all this harassment shit starts from. And so I've already gone past that. And then there's no mention of Jeff Reese in the officer narrative. There's no mention of anything he's talking about. There's nothing seen. And so there's only about 2 minutes missing from the body-worn camera. Yet Jeff Reese claims to have called the police, despite the call log showing that a police officer, an agency, made the request, and it was after I had already been speaking with him. And that and the body-worn camera footage shows the officer actually attacking me. And there's gonna be people who just comply. That's not how the law works. And so that's another point. These people in Alamance County and pretty much all around North, they've been indoctrinated to just surrender their rights just because an officer says so, regardless if they have the legal authority or not. Now, I'm not suggesting to be disrespectful or to violate the laws, but I am suggesting to understand your rights. I've had people tell me that I'm entitled for asking for my rights to be respected. It's not how the law works. It's not how it was intended. This is not how our forefathers intended it. But you see, prosecutors, they can do all this stuff and hardly face any accountability. And then Senator Amy Gailey, who told me she couldn't get involved when I reached out to her, yet emails show her getting involved, but to help the police chief, just doing my duty, discussing me, and ways to conceal the misconduct. That's what that bitch did. All these people who have government roles can break the law that in a normal person who didn't have power or influence would go to jail for. They don't get anything but a slap on the wrist, if that. It's so hard to hold them accountable. And then you have the private dealings going on where people are able to pay off these politicians to create laws that benefit them, even if they hurt the public. This is what we've seen is America be sold to the highest bidders. Now, I can't speak on the Iran or whatever the conspiracies there. It may not even be conspiracies, but I can only speak on what I personally observed and witnessed. And so, and from my inside information, and we have these politicians are performative. If they have time to take vacations and post about their family or other things that they personally care about unrelated to their job, then they need to find time to address these complaints. But see, here's the issue. They don't want to address the complaints because, you think about this, how many of these people you think endorse police agencies? If they admit that police are corrupt, then they could lose their funding. They could lose their support for these people. And so modern day politics has been theater. They tell you what they want to hear. They don't give a shit about you. You think about Roy Cooper, who's calling out Michael Whatley. And to be honest, I don't like any of these motherfuckers. Michael Whatley has a child predator on his team. Yeah, he's talking about protecting kids. As I've already mentioned, Roy Cooper refused to do anything when I was reporting misconduct, take any action. I couldn't even get a call back from him. And so our state representatives, Dennis Rydell, Stephen Ross, and the other ones, block me on Facebook, won't return calls, yet I'm forced to pay for their careers. This is what modern day politics are. And then they have the fucking nerve to reference Martin Luther King Jr. and all these other civil rights leaders. He would despise these motherfuckers. He wouldn't like them. There was once, and I want you to remember, there was once a time to where what Martin Luther King Jr. was advocating for was illegal. If Martin Luther King Jr. if these people were alive when Martin Luther King Jr. was alive, they would most definitely have shunned him. And they've done the same thing they're doing to me. Jesus Christ, the most perfect man, was crucified. And he was perfect. So if we're willing to crucify a perfect man, what are we doing today? And then you have people that use his name to justify the atrocities that go on in the world today. Now let me get on. Now let me get on to these people running right now in Alamance County. Ramona, Shannon Long, Lavon Barnes, Stephen. I don't know what his last name starts with an E. All these people have been informed of what we've been dealing with. And then there's Tamika Harvey, who I've specifically been tagging her in the emails. They've all been informed of misconduct. They're aware of it. I've sent them the footage. Have you seen them talking about it? No. Yet they claim to serve us. Shannon Long, who's running for Terry Johnson's position, he'll probably get it. And to be honest with you, I'll vote for Shannon Long, not because I like him. To be honest, I don't like him as a person. He's refusing. He's touting this whole Christian thing about serving us, but has blocked me from his campaign page, or removed my complaints about misconduct. And somebody will say, well, they remove comments. Okay, that's fine. Well, why isn't he talking about it? Why isn't any of these people talking about my complaints? If they claim to serve us, why aren't they talking about it? So, for those watching, I would still vote for Shannon Long, only because he's better than the alternative. Terry Johnson is a racist prick. Shannon Long, at least, will get rid of some of these bad actors, but with Shannon Long comes new problems. He's going to prioritize his objectives. And so this is what you're going to get. You're trading in one problem for another. And so while I'm on Shannon Long, he used to work in Orange County under Charles Blackwood. Maybe not directly under him, but Charles Blackwood is the Orange County Police Chief, the Orange County Sheriff. He was I think Shannon Long was a resource officer. But I want to ask you guys a question. For these agencies that claim to be transparent, does limiting your ability to comment, does that show transparency? Because Gibsonville's limited 100%. You can't even comment at all. And there are police reporting agencies. But for the Orange County, which is where I'm originally from, Sheriff Blackwood, you can't comment. You cannot share video evidence of any of your accusations. So basically, you could say something, but you don't have the proof because that's taken away. For these government agencies, if you want to be transparent, maybe don't hide your comments. Don't hide comments and let people share evidence. And so I have a solution to end the corruption. So you notice the flock cameras are a big deal. Everybody says it's good. Okay, why don't we put the flock cameras in their offices? And if we can't and I'm talking about police, all the government figures. And if we can't put flock cameras, why don't we make all their decisions public? Because a lot of the corruption, actually most of the corruption that I see, takes place behind closed doors where the public isn't aware. The public is given a carefully crafted narrative of things that they've already cultivated. And so most people are stupid. I'm just going to be honest. Most people are followers, and so they're going to believe what they're being told because they don't have the sense to research things themselves. I mean, look at what I'm dealing with right now. I have people commenting, don't know my specific situation, just going off a narrative, telling me with 100% confidence things that are wrong, that are 100% wrong. So, if we get cameras and we make it public, to where we screen these people when they're making decisions. All these governments, even in the court, you know, a lot of this corruption would go away. It's hard to commit corruption when you're being watched. I mean, the police have no problem watching us. The government has no problem watching us, so they should be able to be watched if they're truly serving. And so, fixing the issue in this country has to do with holding these people accountable. Prosecutors that knowingly prosecute innocent people should 100% get a felony and disbarred. State leaders with the authority to act that choose not to should be fired and possibly face jail time, because they hold a position where they're supposed to manage and they're supposed to protect the public and serve the public. But many of them serve themselves. We should also take money out of politics. Politicians should not be getting paid off to do certain things. A lot of what I'm saying is not in the interest of the public, but in the interest of the people they're being paid to. And what the politicians are being paid off to pass laws and certain things. We need to hold these people accountable. We need to stop accepting what they tell us. We need to learn for ourselves what the law is. We need to educate ourselves, because these police officers, they don't care about you. Let me give you another example before I end this video. For the people that have complained about misconduct, say you complain about a police officer. How difficult was it for you to get justice without your video having to go viral? How easy was it for a news station to pick it up? Right, but look at the converse. An officer gets harmed, and this just happened a couple months ago. And actually, I'll talk about two cases. Nick's, the Greensboro Police Department. He was shot, and rest in peace, because he was a human being. He was murdered off duty. And they've been talking about him still for the last 4 years. Meanwhile, my case has not received any coverage from these legacy media or even these nothing. But you've seen agencies shut down bridges, which kind of creates hazards. And what if somebody has an emergency? You've seen agencies change their badges to him, to honor him. You've seen somebody else get shot. I don't know if he died or not, but multiple agencies work together to catch somebody in Virginia who shot somebody in North Carolina. They work together to bring this guy down. But when I've raised concerns, silence, crickets. If we want better, we should expect better. We need to hold these people accountable. Roy Cooper, who's running for office again, after doing a shitty job during his term, he needs to be. He didn't be reelected. Michael Watley shouldn't be reelected. I mean, shouldn't be elected. He's got a fucking pedophile on his team that he claims to serve people. We need to get better candidates, people that actually come from the working class. What the hell does, now I'm talking about the president, what the fuck does Donald Trump know about having to get groceries? What does Josh Stein know about having to get groceries? About having to fill up his car? About having to make shit last? He don't know shit about that. None of these fucking people do, yet they're making decisions for us. We're electing people that have no clue of what we're dealing with to make decisions for us. People that are already corrupt and immoral, making decisions for everyone else. We should demand better.